All right, welcome everyone. So far, we've talked a lot about the principles of good design, but today we're getting practical. We're going to tackle a huge question for any data storyteller. How do you actually choose the right software for the job? So let's kick things off with the single most important rule, the one thing you have to remember. A great visualization comes from a great idea, not from some super expensive, fancy piece of software. Your tools, they're there to help you, to enable your vision, but they do not decide it. And this diagram, it just nails the concept. Think of it like this. Your mind, your brain, that's where the real work happens. You make the design decisions, you craft the story, you ensure the integrity of the data. The machine, the software, it's just there to do the technical stuff, the heavy lifting of rendering and calculating based on what you told it to do. So here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to get the lay of the land and look at the 4 main types of visualization tools out there. Then we'll unpack a core challenge that every single designer runs into. After that, we'll build a really practical framework for picking the perfect tool for your project. And we'll wrap up with a crucial warning you absolutely do not want to miss.
Okay, let's dive right in. Now, it might seem like there are a million different visualization tools out there, and it can be kind of overwhelming. But the good news is you can actually sort pretty much all of them into 4 distinct categories.
So, category number 1 is all about getting your hands dirty and having total creative control.
Think of these as your digital canvases, right? We're talking about tools like Adobe Illustrator, maybe even Canva. The whole point here is aesthetics and custom layout. It makes them absolutely perfect for those one-off, bespoke visuals where creative expression is way more important than having a live link to your raw data.
And you've definitely seen this kind of stuff everywhere. In marketing, journalism, basically anywhere a unique, super polished visual is needed to tell a very specific story and really grab your attention. All right, next up, we've got a category of tools built for a completely different reason. We're talking about speed, scale, and most importantly, automation. With these tools, the whole game changes. The priority shifts completely. Things like Tableau or Power BI are built to connect directly to your data and then automatically update all the visuals. This gives you amazing consistency and reliability, which is critical when your data is changing all the time. And what you get is something like this, the classic interactive dashboard. This is where managers can track their key metrics, in almost real time, and they can slice and dice the data themselves to find their own insights. Okay, our third category is where things get really precise. This one prizes transparency, flexibility, and absolute precision, all through code. The whole idea here is that when you use programming languages like R or Python, every single step is explicitly documented in your code. From how you load the data to how you map it to colors and shapes, it's all there. There's this powerful concept called the grammar of graphics that lets you build up a plot layer by layer. And the result? There is zero ambiguity about how that visual was created. And this, right here, is why it's the gold standard in the world of academia and data science. Being able to perfectly replicate a figure isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely non-negotiable for verifying scientific claims.
And that brings us to our final category. This is where visualization really breaks free from those static reports and becomes a living, breathing thing on the web.
Now here, we're usually talking about programming libraries, like the famous D3.js. So these aren't just click and drag programs. You use them to build totally custom web experiences with cool features like filtering, zooming, or hover over details. The whole goal is to hand the controls over to the user and let them explore the data for themselves. Okay, so now we have our 4 big buckets of tools. But that begs the question, how do you know which one to pick? Well, to answer that, we have to talk about a crucial tension that's at the heart of every single data viz project. You see, pretty much every project has 2 distinct phases. First, there's the exploration phase. Here, all you care about is speed. You want to make tons of charts fast, iterate, and just find the interesting nuggets in your data. Aesthetics? Not important. But then you move to the presentation phase. Now your goal is crystal clear communication. Suddenly, aesthetics and, crucially, reproducibility are everything. And that is the key. The most important thing you can do is make sure your choice of tool perfectly matches the phase you're in and the ultimate goal of your project. Let's make this really practical. This table breaks it down. If you're publishing a scientific paper, you need the rock-solid reproducibility you only get from a programming tool. No question. If you need a business dashboard that has to be updated every single day, you're going to want an analytics tool.
But for that one-off, super eye-catching infographic for a marketing campaign, you need the total creative freedom of design software like Illustrator or Canva.
Now, this might sound a bit dramatic, but using the wrong tool, especially when you move into that presentation phase, can lead to a really serious scientific problem, what's known as the reproducibility crisis.
And to really get this, we need to be clear on a couple of terms, because they're super important. Repeatability is when you can get the same result twice. That's good. But reproducibility, that's when someone else, a different group, can take your data and your methods and get the exact same findings. That is the bedrock of scientific trust, and it is a much, much higher bar to clear.
And this visual just perfectly shows the trap. Let's say you generate a chart in one program, but then you open it in a design program to make a few little manual tweaks. Maybe you change a color or nudge a label. The moment you do that without documenting it, you've broken the chain of evidence. Your final beautiful visual is no longer truly reproducible from the original data and code. So, what's the key takeaway from all of this? True expertise isn't about mastering one single tool. It's about understanding the entire process. It's about avoiding common pitfalls like chart junk or those misleading 3D effects. And it's about strategically selecting the right tool for the task at hand.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The best tool is simply the one that helps you execute your clear, well-thought-out idea most effectively. The real power isn't in the software. It's in how you decide to use it.